Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be having a bit of a unit review for the Ashtamur term, and it will be the Shadowsword. Before we begin, if you'd like to see more videos like this one, please aim your volcano cannon at the subscribe button and absolutely destroy the bell button so that you never miss an upload. So, it's been a little while since I've done a unit review, so what we'll do is we'll just go through the stats. Hopefully this will be done in a good fashion. We'll see how it goes. It's been a while since I've done one where it hasn't been screen mirrored so you can see what's on the screen. I have changed it down to the fact of the whole basically I don't want to be in trouble. That's the top and bottom of it. So Shadowsword has a movement of star, which we'll go over in a second, a weapon skill of a 5+, so not that bad, ballistic skill star, strength 9, toughness 8, wounds of 26, attacks of star, a leadership of 8, and a 3-up save. I would argue a 2-up save would be better, more akin to a land raider. However, we are the guard. So remaining wounds of 14 to 26. So if you start on 26, go down to 24 to 14. You've still got a movement of 10, a ballistic skill of 4+, and a 9 attacks. 9 strength, 9 attacks is pretty good. When you fall below the 14, you go from 13 to 7, you have a movement of 7 inches, a ballistic skill of 5+, so you're going to be hitting like an orc 1/3 of the time, and attacks of 6. And then when you're down on death's door, you've got a 1 to 6 wounds remaining. You will have a movement of 4 inches. You will have a ballistic skill of 6+, so worse than an orc, and you're going to have 3 attacks. So, now I know what you're thinking, attacks might not be the first thing on your mind. If you've seen videos before with me, you might have, I've already probably talked about the stratagem, but we'll go through that in a tick. So it says, a Shadowsword is a single model equipped with a volcano cannon, a twin heavy bolter, and adamantium tracks. So the volcano cannon we'll get onto very shortly. A twin heavy bolter basically is 36-inch range, heavy 6, a strength 5, -1, and does 1 damage. So 6 shots, strength 5, -1, 1 damage. You're probably going to be aiming this mainly at infantry. Why else would you aim at anything else? Unless you've got no other targets, then just shoot them into anything you want. We was also got adamantium tracks. So range of melee, type melee, strength user. It has an AP of -2 and does D3 damage. So your strength isn't changing, it's just the number of attacks. So a weapon skill 5. Not going to be hitting an awful lot of times, but if it does, strength 9, taking 2 off for the save and does D3 damage, then definitely nothing to be sniffed at. The volcano cannon we'll now get onto is 120 inches. Yep, you heard me, 123 inches. It has a heavy 3D3, so you've got anywhere between 3 and 9 shots. This is the important thing. Strength 16, -5 on the AP, and 2d6 damage, a massive 2d6 damage, right? The rules we'll go over in a second, but that strength 16, that will wound almost anything on that's toughness 8 or less on a 2-up. There is high, I think there is maybe higher toughness on something, but you're pretty much going to be hitting most of the time and hurting quite a bit. 2d6 damage, that is anywhere between, obviously, 2 damage and 12 damage per shot that goes through. Per shot. If you get exceedingly lucky, which we are guards, so it's probably not going to be happening, you could do anywhere between, 2 and like 36 damage and stuff like that. It's just insane. So the abilities are, you can reroll failed wound rolls when targeting Titanic units with this weapon. So Titanic units, obviously, the Imperial Knights, but you can definitely delete certain units if you wish. The only downside to this is the -5 AP. Most of them are going to be having a 5-up invulnerable save anyway, if not better. So it kind of, did we need the -5? I mean, fluff-wise it works, I get that, but we probably didn't need that. So let's go on to what this model can take. This model can take a Hunter-Killer Missile. Excuse me. Hunter-Killer Missile, standard, one shot. If you go in points, probably don't use it, but whatever. This model may take a Stormbolter or a Heavy Stubber. So out of the two, I'd probably go Stormbolter, just because it can do 4 shots, or possibly it's either 2 or 4 shots. Is that right? Rapid fire 2? Yeah, 2 or 4 shots. That makes sense. A Heavy Stubber is always going to do 3 shots, and it has a slightly bigger range, but you could do 4 damage. You could do 4 shots basically, increasing your chance of hitting. That one is kind of up to you whether you want to go for that or not. It says this model may either take 2 sponsons or 4 sponsons. Each sponson is equipped with a las cannon and either a twin heavy bolter or twin heavy flamer. So what you do have is you have a choice. Do you go for the heavy flamer or the heavy bolter? So a heavy flamer is actually more viable than you might think, and we'll talk about that very, very shortly. But twin heavy bolters, meaning you'll have, instead of heavy 6, you will have, heavy 18 if you take 2 sponsons. So a side note here, on the actual kit that you get from Games Workshop, you can only make the 2 sponsons. You can buy an extra kit, but I did not do that with my good old Helga, which might be named something else for the Shadowsword equivalent. Yes, so smoke launchers, basically once per game. Instead of shooting, this model can use smoke launchers. In your next shooting phase, the opponent must subtract 1 from all ranged weapons that target this vehicle. It's not as good with this guy because you pretty much want to be shooting at all times with that volcano cannon. That is insane. It has the explode special rule, however, it is slightly different. If this model is reduced to 0 wounds, roll a d6 before removing it from the battlefield. That's the same. On a 6, it explodes, and each unit within 2d6 inches suffers d6 mortal wounds. So if it does blow up, you can pretty much do a lot of damage anyway. One good thing on this model is the Steel Behemoth special rule, which is probably the same for all of the Beyblade variants. This model does not suffer the penalty to hit rolls for moving and firing heavy weapons. This model can fall back in the movement phase and still shoot and or charge during its turn. It can also fire all its weapons if the enemy units are within 1 inch, but only its twin heavy bolter or twin heavy flamer, so this is the important bit of what I was saying earlier, can target units that are within 1 inch. Its other guns must fire at other units. In addition, this model only gains bonus to its save if you cover at least half of the model is obscured from the firer. So basically it's a big model, so it has to be half covered if it's to get a save, an extra, basically a 2-up save, and if it's in combat, it can fire its heavy bolters into combat, it can fight in combat, and it can still shoot its las cannons and its volcano cannon at any other target that you want. You just can't target those guys that are right within 1 inch of you. So if you're stuck in combat, you don't even need to worry. One of the best rules for the Shadowsword is the Shadowsword targeters. Add 1 to any hit rolls that you make for this model for shooting attacks that target Titanic units. This means that instead of hitting on a 4-up, you're going to be hitting on a 3-up on your normal ballistic skill against the dreaded Imperial Knights, which is your main bane of your existence. No pun intended. So what I was going to say to you is, in combat, which we'll go over the stratagem in a second, you can make strength 9 attacks that do -2d damage and do d3 damage. You can also fire all of your twin heavy flamers, which allow you to do 2d6, strength 5, -1, and does 1 damage. And it automatically hits in combat, which is pretty impressive. So anyone's coming close to you, or if you think you're going against a lot of horde combat armies or anything like that, then this is almost like a given, because they're going to automatically get hit by 2d6 or 4d6, because you're going to pick 2 heavy flamers. 4d6 at least, if not 8d6 if you pick 2 lots of sponsons at anyone who's coming to charge at you. So it's going to punish them heavily punishing anyone who tries to clear this guy with combat. Let's quickly have a little look. Are we going on stratagems first? Let's see what comes first, actually, in the old bookie book. I'm just scrolling through right now. Obviously, you guys can't see it. It's actually regiment and doctrine, so we'll probably go through that really quick. So what should be noted is that the Defenders of Humanity, regimental doctrines, there we go. So if your army is battle forged, all regiment units, which is what the Shadowsword is, in Ashton term detachment, excluding those in super heavy auxiliary detachments, gain a regimental doctrine, so long as every unit in that detachment, apart from the exceptions noted opposite, is drawn from the same regiment. So, needless to say, if you have the Supreme Command detachment, you can take a super heavy model with that in that unit, in that detachment. So you could have 3 bare bones company commanders, you could have tank commanders, go for a tank army, and you could then use the regimental doctrines, which again we'll go over. Not in too much detail because of the fact that we've gone over this video a million times. Cadians, reroll hit 1s in the shooting phase if they remain stationary. Good. So if you're going against these dreaded knights with a shadow sword, you're going to be hitting on 3s mainly, and you are going to reroll those 1s. So only 2s are going to be fails, dead fails. Pretty good. Catachans. And then it says, each time a vehicle with this doctrine fires a ranged weapon that makes a random number of attacks, e.g. d6 or heavy 2d6, you can reroll 1 dice used to determine the number of attacks. So that's really good, because with your 3d3, and one of them is a 1 or a 2, you can reroll that again instead of worrying. Obviously, if you get a 2, probably stick with it, unless you're a bit silly. I'm a little bit biased on this one. However, the Valhallan vehicles with this doctrine that have a damage table double the number of wounds they have remaining for the purposes of determining what their characteristics are. This makes your Shadow Sword last twice as long, quite clearly. I think you'd have to be on 7 wounds before you start losing ballistic skill, which is, out of 26 wounds, is pretty decent. Can be took away pretty quick as well. However, it's pretty good. So the Voice-Drying are probably, let me think, either as heavy or rapid fire. It would normally have a range of 24 inches. That does not apply apart from with the Stormbolter. So give Voice-Drying a miss on the Shadow Swords. Vehicles, it's Armageddon Industrial Efficiency. Vehicles with this doctrine treat attacks against them with an AP of -1 as having an AP -0. This is probably not going to come into effect because everyone targeting you is going to be with las cannons and the likes, if not better. So the Talon Swift as the Wind says, so this is kind of good as well. So vehicles don't suffer the hit penalty for moving firing heavy weapons, but it doesn't because it's steel behemoth. However, it then says, if a Titanic vehicle with this doctrine advances, it treats all heavy weapons as assault weapons until the end of the turn. Heavy D6 is treated as a assault D6, meaning so you can actually advance and still fire hit on 6s, which is pretty good. Tempestus does not apply. And the Mordian Parade Drill. You can add 1 to hit rolls for vehicles with this doctrine when firing Overwatch within 3 inches of any other friendly Mordian vehicles. That one's again kind of a meh, but it could come into play. But it's not really going to do anything. So the so Cadians, good. Catachan, good. My favourite is Valhallan Grim Demeanor. I am very biased though, guys, so take that with a massive bucket of salt, if you will. So I'm now going to be looking at the stratagems. Fire position. Let's do with the infantry, I think it is. Crush them. This is the best one for the Shadowsword, Baneblades, and the likes. It is a stratagem, which is 1 command point, a minuscule 1 command point. With all the ones that you should be having, you've got 1 command point. Use this stratagem at the start of the charge phase. Select an Ashton's own vehicle, rather unsurprisingly, the Shadowsword unit from your army. This unit can charge even if it's advanced this turn. It can, so again, you can advance. So a good one for that one would be the Talan, because then you can advance and shoot and then charge. But it also says, in the following fight phase, attacks made by this unit hit on a 2+. Strength 9, 9 attacks, -2 AP, D3 damage. Just 1 second. Apologies. Yes, so, yeah. In the following fight phase, attacks made by this hit on a 2+. Yes, so you strength 9, 9 attacks, -3 damage, -3 AP, D3 damage. Alongside, if you're playing it that way, between 4d6 and 8d6 flamers in combat in the next shooting phase, it's definitely going to deter any models from attacking you. You can tell the enemy and say, look, you can charge them, but I'm going to use the crush them stratagem, and then show them it if you want to keep them away. So another one you could use is at the start of the stratagem, start your turn, select an instrument vehicle. It cannot move, charge, or pile in, but immediately heals 1 wound. So you can still shoot, you can sit still, and you can shoot for 1 command point. You can heal 1 wound. Again, you're probably going to get more utility out of that from the Valhallan ones, because if you're on 6 wounds and you want to, let's start with your turn. Yeah, if you want to heal it, so it's got back to its 4+ ballistic skill, that is, is a good one for that one. But other than that, it's kind of meh. You could combine that with the repair vehicle from Forge World. You could combine that with the Engine Seer, Tech Priest Engine Seer. That one's non-applicable. So I'll just quickly have a little look. Nope, so that's a Chimera one. Inspired Tactics. Nope. 1 command point, Defensive Gunners. Use stratagem when a charge is declared against one of your Ashton military vehicle units. When that unit fires Overwatch in this phase, they successfully hit on a 5 or a 6 instead of only a 6. Good-ish, especially if you've got heavy bolters on your thing. If you've got flamers, you probably, but think about it. The Shadowsword's actual volcano cannon, it's okay. 1 command point, could be good. Might not be too awesome though. Fight to the death, infantry, go recon sentinels. We don't know that one. Vengeance for Cadia. Use a stratagem when select one of your Ashton military units to shoot and fire Overwatch. Reroll failed hit and wound rolls if you're going against Chaos. So if you're going against Chaos Knights, this is probably a really good one. Again, 1 command point, only good against Chaos, and if you're Cadian. Modern infantry, we don't want to know about that. Cadian. So this one, overlapping fields of fire, is pretty awesome, and it's probably better to use after you've used your volcano cannon or whatever, especially against a knight. It says use your stratagem after a Cadian unit from your army has inflicted an unsaved wound on an enemy unit in the shooting phase. You can add 1 to hit rolls for any other Cadian units in your army that target the same enemy unit this phase. But again, you could use it as a team of las cannon, heavy weapons las cannon team. If you take a wound off a knight, you can make your Shadowsword hit on a 2+. A 2+, that's pretty sick. But again, you could get the rest of your army to hit on 3s instead of, so it's volume of fire. I don't know which way is the best way to do it. Valhallan, nope, that's infantry. Voice-Troyan, you can add 1 to 1 second. Use this stratagem in the start of your ship phase. Select a Voice-Troyan unit from your army. You can add 1 to hit rolls made for this unit until the end of the phase. That's actually really good, and that'll be where the slim advantage of the Voice-Troyan army for a Shadowsword would be, is that you can add 1 to hit rolls for 1 command point at the start of the shooting phase. Basically meaning, again, that your Shadowsword is going to hit on a on a 2-up instead of a 3-up against Titanic units. Really good, actually. Can't fault that at all. Choose up teleport units. This could be really deadly. So the ambush one for Talon. Use a stratagem during deployment. Choose up to 3 Talon units to set an ambush instead of placing them on the battlefield. At the end of any of your movement phases, these units can strike from hiding. Set each of them wholly within 7 inches of the battlefield, which could be tricky. You just have to set up on an edge, on a side, more than 9 inches away from enemy models. I think for 3 command points is pretty good, but I think this one might be stuck to just infantry. I think they might have FAQ'd that. Possibly. Transport vehicle. So this is not going to apply. Vicious traps catch-on. Within 1 inch. 1 second. Finish the charge move. Within 1 inch, you catch units wholly within terrain features. So meh. You could use it, but it's not really helpful. If you're in terrain, you're not really going to be in terrain though, because you're going to move and fire and hit. You don't have to. Sorry, I'll read the rule just so you know that I'm not just wittering on for no reason. Vicious traps by the Catch-on stratagem. 1 command point. Use this stratagem when an enemy unit finishes a charge move within 1 inch of a Catch-on unit from your army that is wholly on or within a terrain feature. Roll a dice. On a 4-up, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, if your Shadowsword is a Catch-on and it's in a terrain feature, wholly with on or within a terrain feature, that's going to be tricky to do. It's not likely, so you're probably not going to be using it very often. They suffer D3 mortal wounds, and I think we probably will end the video there. So when I'm saying I'm biased, I mean, you know why I'm biased. I like Valhallans, but I think one of the strongest, so if you're going mainly shooty, as very technically as this is, Cadian's probably the way to go. If your Catch-ons is good, but that voice drain tactic the stratagem is pretty good. Plus 1 command point to make them hit on a 2-up against Titanic units. That's going to make them brick it in it, really, if you think about it. Other than that, the voice drains are pretty pants for him. I'd probably go with Cadian, to be honest, unless you just want an ultra survivable. You want to just do your enemy's head in. If you have voice, hear me out here. If you have a Valhallan, you have a Tech Priest, Engine Seer, or something like that, and then you also have that Forge Weld recovery vehicle, you can really annoy your enemy by just healing and getting back that ballistic skill. We're going to end the video there, guys, because we have cracked on for a fair bit now, and I will say that it's at 23 minutes. Wow, was that? If you haven't already, please subscribe. It would be lovely to see you on the channel, and comments down below as ever. Again, thanks for watching.